Peace, my cosmic kinfolk. Welcome back to another Dabtastic broadcast on this beautiful, timeless Tuesday, April the 27th. And as you can see, we're back out in nature, the nurturer, the nature, away from the iMac Pro where I've been recording and getting very comfortable in the studio, but let's do something a little more spontaneous today. And because I, on my Twitter, promised I will start to explain the difference in what is called the perception of magic. I'm starting to get bit by mosquitoes, obviously, because I'm kind of sweet-blooded. I've got really sweet, tasty blood that even the vampires like. These vampiric entities of sucking on souls. But Timeless Tuesday, to me, is about how do I skip through time. And I've been using a practice so long that now I've had the mastery of it, that it's time to make sure that this information is passed on. Because it takes an impulsive kind of nature to do a time jump and to be, free from stuck. I don't know how to describe it in a more... Okay, let me get articulate with these words. I can do it. A lot of times I'm dumbing down a lot of things on purpose because there's a reason to reach people with an 8th grade education and above. My grandfather only had an 8th grade education, and I totally respect the fact that, I could connect with him whenever we talked. But let's get very right on time and purposeful about what we're about to talk about. Time jumping. The ability to see the perception of magical things. Because, like I've said in some of my music that I might have produced years ago, almost 4 or 5 years ago, perception is magic. And I'm coming straight through the planet. Be it that if perception is magic, what is first and foremost the idea of perception? Well, perception is your vantage point. Perception is where you stand in this square to observe the 4 corners, or maybe even the 5th corner, which is in this direction. So there's 8 corners of the cube. Maybe you're only able to perceive the 4 corners of the square and not the other 4 corners in the opposite direction in the cube. So therefore, the person who can move from you only seeing the cube, the square, and they can move into the cube, you'd think they did something crazy, like magic. You would think they could almost disappear in front of your eye, because there's something now that you can't see that they move beyond, okay? So our perception, our modality in the moments that we're allowed to perceive, the modality, the movement that we're allowed to do in these moments, okay, is what gives us our current perception. Now, if you are a meditator and have a highness of your Saturn god baby, you know what I mean? If you have a high state of that understanding, then you are at your Chronos, which Saturn was the Chronos, right? The timekeeper. But, in many names, it is an entity that is your own. You own it. You own the timekeeper. Based on your position in space and time right now. So, if my perception is that Where I'm at right now in this moment in time that you're seeing my recording happen. And I can also imagine myself back in my studio, working there, doing something on the computer, the iMac Pro. Then I can also be there already. Because I gave it conscious thought, I'm already there already. So it's fun because at that point, even if I don't go do some work, I mentally have done some work. Okay, the study that really makes this science hit home is that you can go check out where athletes who are hooked up to the EKG meters, okay, to read their thought patterns when they're performing at their optimal performance, their brain waves do a certain pattern, okay? Be it that they get to a beta or an alpha state where it's just pure focused, it's repeatable and it's easy to see. Well, you know that they're actually having to do some athletic work at that moment, but their brain is engaged as well on another level of that thing we call time, that cube, okay? It's engaged in that zone. So they can take, in this study, those same athletes that are swimmers, triathlon people, and get them to run their routine in their brain with their eyes closed, sitting in a laboratory with the same EKG meters hooked up to them. And you know what? Their brain patterns appear as if they were actually there doing the motions of exercise and sport and taking in the sport. So that meant that forethought of energy put in a kinetic energy that can continue in the moment that you're currently captured in. Now, that kinetic energy is stored as potential energy. Even though you did it in the moment of a future thought, kinetically, you come back here to the moment and you stored it as potential energy. So this gives you pretty much a deeper understanding of where you could actually take your perception of magic. Hello, got him. No, got him. Did you see that? Caught the fly. Let's go look at it. Where is he? Because perception is magic. It looked as if I caught that fly here in the flat plane of YouTube. In reality, I swapped him and I gave him a burst of air and it flew higher into the air. So it's no longer here, but you couldn't see that happen if you went to freeze frame. Maybe you could have seen that happen. But I know a lot of sleight of hand magic tricks, and it's about the positioning of the eyeball. Where is the eye in relation to what should not be seen? So if I wanted to start being a manipulator of mass consciousness of the human beings, all I'd have to do is hide in a place where you can't perceive me, and then send you information, and you think it's magical. You would think that there is something beyond the idea of just regular day-to-day living. You'd be like, how did a voice from nowhere speak to me as clear as day? I'm here, that voice has no body, right? That seems like magic. But it's not. It's the perception that you can't see. You can't see the other layer of that cube that you're standing in. You only see the four corners, like the four corners of this screen, which I just demonstrated can limit you into not seeing what I just did with my hands when I caught a gnat. So, if I am the magician and you are the magician of our moments in time, who really do we want to trust? Do we want to trust mass media and how it raised us to perceive time? how it raised us, how mass media raised our parents' generation, how their parents' generation almost was raised on mass media. Mass media has been the magic hand in everybody's brain, okay? Trying to be like my little Dick Gregory here, okay? But mass media has been the magician hand in everybody's brain. So if you love mass media, welcome to some magic, because it's being worked on you all the time from the other dimension, the cube you can't see. And you've accepted it. You've loved every moment of every passing second, indulging into this square where they're passing you information in the cube. And you don't mind. My hands are ashy as hell, but anyway, if you get that, then where I'm leading you in your own God state is to further yourself from mass media. Free yourself and become an oracle of your own. Neo in the Matrix, being the one, represents every piece of software in the Matrix. Therefore, Neo was the oracle as well. So if you're every piece of software in the Matrix is your own Neo, which I have encompassed. That's why we're celebrating Saturn gods. If you can reach that level of achievement in your brain, then you get it, okay? But to break the cosmic time barrier and no longer be bound by time is something you have to practice in your mind as an individual every day, and almost as if like you're reading a book that, you know, gives you the visual reality you love to see. Be that book. Be the living book. Be the new living water. Be the new living testament that in our lifetime, what our parents and their parents and their parents have gone through has been a downgrading of the human psyche, so that we, in a great experiment that you couldn't perceive. You're outside. You're stuck in the square. You're not in the box. You are in the box, but you're not viewing the box, you know? So you're not viewing that cube. How can you perceive the magic that's being done upon you? If you let your heart settle in on this message, I'm not just teaching you about the manipulation of perception. I'm teaching you how you can manipulate and change your own perception. Being able to see the future for me has always been a natural instinct. I only really understood what I was doing until I understood the chemicals in my body and knew that adrenaline rushes were great for me. Adrenaline rushes are great for me. I'm going to channel something very special spiritually and not just mentally when I'm going through a high adrenaline rush. And I can appreciate adrenaline because if I'm looking at the cube, right, most of the time in my focus, then the adrenaline rush puts me the cube on askew as well, and now I'm looking at what the next shape is. Through the platonic solids or the multidimensional solid shapes of perception lie the ability to perceive time. So I'm gonna go on a small little tangent here. It doesn't matter what crystals you use. It doesn't matter what herbalage you're putting in your body. What I'm trying to teach you is that this human temple is so mental that if you had to survive through some of the hardest conditions on this planet, being it like a nuclear holocaust or a meteor strike, your mentals will adapt first. Your body and the DNA must catch up later, because through the epigenetics, your thoughts are going to shape what your DNA needs to do. I need to be able to eat these rocks now, dear planet, because the rocks contain blah, 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 and it's the only nutrient right now that I can work on in this physical state I'm in, and I'm going to want to refine that and change it into something else eventually, so my body is going to want to change eventually as well. Well, these are the evolutionary steps that mutate DNA through thought. So I tell you right now, you should never worry about an extinction level event. You should never worry about a final level of the planet. What you should worry about is you being trapped into a final level of your state of being because you've accepted the mass media program that it now lives in your consciousness and says to you, you know, love everything in front of you because it is so special. Love the gurus who teach you, you know, love is the answer and the only answer. Love the guru who teaches you love is not the only answer. Love the guru who says to you, bliss is achievable by everybody. And then also love the guru who does not say that bliss is achievable for everybody. Now, what you don't have in your own conscious at that point is your ability to be the guru. Just think about that. So in time, you will become timeless. The more you think that you are out of this ability to be manipulated by the fourth dimensional cube you can't see, mass media. On that note, peace.